Hey there guys, welcome to Cauldron Life. So on today's show we're going to be going through my Book of Shadows collections just to show you that your Book of Shadows can really be anything. It can take any form at all. You could have a simple 3-ring binder, you could have a small notebook, you could have pages that you put together and bind yourself. The possibilities are endless when it comes to your Book of Shadows because it's yours, and it's your workbook to put the things that you are learning on your spiritual journey, and so that you can have them quick at hand, so you can continually refresh your mind and continually learn and grow. So that's what I do here on Cauldron Life. I like to scrapbook, so I like to scrapbook my Book of Shadows. And I'm going to show you this collection. I hope it inspires you to scrapbook your Book of Shadows too. So come on the journey with me, where we first started. So way back when I was a wee witch and beginning on my journey, I never really kept a Book of Shadows at first. I was really young, I was 13, and as I learned and grew, I collected a bunch of information and stuff, but never really collectively put it in a cohesive place, like a book. So then I found this book, and I decided that I was going to write out my stuff. I put as much information as I could, took my time, wrote it neatly, and there we go. Then life happened. Okay, so I love that book. I go through it a lot. Many of my beginner pieces of my rituals and stuff are in there. It's really portable. I can take it with me wherever I go, when I go to other places and people's circles. In the back I do signings when I go to coven gatherings and circle gatherings. I'll have some of my friends just mark it down kind of like a yearbook. So that one's kind of personal and portable. Then I started creating printable Book of Shadows. Ooh, sorry about that. Let me grab the mic. And let's see. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but just a bunch of printable pages with different clip art that I found all over the place that I put together years and years ago, offering it to witches all over the world. And I really enjoyed it, and a lot of you did too, and I'm really glad. It was just a great way for me to inspire myself to put down a lot of this information, and I was glad to share it with a lot of others. And over the years I've watched a lot of your Book of Shadows walkthroughs, and I've seen many of these pages. I've just taken a moment to feel very, very blessed and very thankful that you were helpful to me with your purchase. So that one is just a big, humongous 3-ring binder that I just put the plastic sleeves in, and then I just stash away my information that I print out. I print it out in black and white, and then I can sit and have a good time coloring it. So just like I've done in these pages, these are the ones that I did a couple weekends ago, preparing for Ostara. And so, I sit with these pages with my coloring, and I listen or read over the information, and it helps me to remember what the traditional lore around Ostara is. What is this vernal equinox all about? And as I color and I review some of the magical ideas for Ostara on this page, it gives me some inspiration to be able to plan my Ostara festivities. Maybe dyeing eggs, So you gather yourself some black and white clip art, you stick it with your information, you print it out, and then you color it. Crayons, markers, colored pencils, watercolor, whatever your medium is, whatever you fancy. And then you just move on to the next page. So That was the printable collection. So that one was fun. And I enjoy coloring the pages still. And then incorporating them into my main scrapbook of shadows. So that's this. Oh, and as a side note, I just wanted to point out these adorable little scrapbook bags. I seen them at my local Michael's craft store, and I just had to have them. They're like little magical gemstone potion bags. They're little beads inside, so they'll be perfect to add into our book of shadows somewhere. So I'm going to set those over to the side. And again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in to Cauldron Life. We are going over my book of shadows, and I'm filming a walkthrough of the scrapbook of shadows that I've created. So here, I'm going to do this is in several sections because I haven't bound it yet. I haven't decided whether I'm going to be binding a few books or if I'm going to be binding it all into one book. So as you can see, my book is not bound yet. I am temporarily storing it with these nifty little rings. And it used to be 10 by 10 scrapbooks, but I took the wire ring binding, the wire spiral binding off of it so that I could work with the individual pages. These ones are done, so that's why they're all bound together, because this just makes it easy for me to move them around place to place. But the little rings make it easy for me to switch them around and reorganize them as ever I see fit. So, this is my scrapbook of shadows. Your book of shadows, like I said, it can be any shape. It can look like anything. All of us really want a leather-bound ancient tome with worn pages that our ancestors hand-painted. That's not going to happen. So this is what we have instead. I like it even more. I use all kinds of mediums. You can use printed pages that you cut out to different shapes, glue them down. You can, like right here, I burnt the edges of these. Be very careful when you're doing that. Always use adult supervision. And always, whenever you're burning the edges of your pages, always keep a damp sponge nearby so that you can lightly dampen those pages to put them out so that they don't burn any unintended spots. So I have stickers, I have rub-ons, I have stamps that I colored in, I have stickers that I layered on top of stamps that I colored in, and it's just really fun to put all the different little embellishments and the different elements that you find or that you make for your book of shadows. So although the information that's in mine is going to be different than the information that's in yours, I just hope that these pages can give you some inspiration on how you can bring your book of shadows to life. And you'll notice in some of these spots I've left empty spaces where I still plan on coming back through and, you know, journaling my thoughts or adding in little bits of information here and there. I add blank pages throughout so that I have places to come back to. Places like this are really great for me to reflect on the information that's on this page and then do some workbook activities over here, whether it's writing or drawing or some ruins or putting in a tarot card that you pull so that you can get some more clarification on this subject. It's a great way for you to actively work in the information that you're taking in. It can be hard in the beginning of your spiritual journey to feel like you need to memorize so much information. Not true. Not true at all. The only information that you need is what's pertinent to your need today. Right? The rest of it is a resource. The rest of it is a reference library. The rest of it is just tools in your toolbox. So stash them away. You don't have to memorize all the herbs and all the oils and all the incense and all the elements and all the correspondences. You don't have to memorize all of that. You just need to know what's pertinent to your craft today. What's pertinent to your growth today. So put it down in your book of shadows. What's pertinent today? Create a page about what's pertinent today. And then go through your reference library, all the little books that you've stashed away. Go through them. Bookmark all these different spots that pertain to your current need today. Then you put all those things in your book of shadows. Create a page. Now all of the things that you have utilized in your craft work today, you will remember. And when you flip through your book of shadows, you're going to come through that page and you're going to say, I remember that moment. I remember the elements that I used. I remember the correspondences. You didn't even try. It was effortless. That's what learning and growing in the craft is all about. One of the reasons why a book of shadows is useful. It's not there to put every single piece of information that you have. That's your reference library. The stuff that's pertinent to your today. Stuff that you're experimenting with, growing with. Gods and goddesses that you're talking to. Moments where you sit and praise the green man. Times when you charge the dark god to assist you. Moments when you get to know each of the 4 elements. Earth, air, fire, water. It's all different moments when you're going to use them. Page for the north, which corresponds with the earth. Page for the east, which corresponds for the air. Page for the south, which corresponds with the fire. Page for the west, corresponding with the water. And just a chunky divider board. I've got a section for magical correspondences. Again, you don't have to memorize this stuff. You put it in your book of shadows when it is pertinent for you. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to kick the camera. But these are magical days of the week, specific hours of the day, magical hours, times of the day. And as you can see, I've stamped in lots of places. And then here, I have finished coloring these ones in. But here I haven't. I was working with this information on these 2 pages while I was coloring these spaces. Some of them are not quite done. So I'm not quite done studying these pages yet. But it's helpful. When I want to sit and color, I color here. And again, the information in my pages is going to be completely different than the information in your pages, only because we go on different journeys. We come across some of the similar information along the way. So much of this stuff might look very similar, very familiar, and much of it might be different, and that's okay. What belongs on my path does not necessarily belong on your path. But along the way, I hope it inspires you to put down some of the things that inspire your path along the way. Some of these are just printouts, but I have yet to decorate the pages. Eventually, I will decorate them. And this page, I just wanted to point out. So this is a page that I created so that I have a reference of herbs that can be dangerous when you are using them in your practice. And so this way I have those herbs listed in one spot, so whenever I am working with a set of herbs or an herb, if there's any cautions that I need to use, and I always use those herbs with extreme caution, if at all. So a few of these pages. And some of these pages, like this page with the hex signs, I purchased that as an 8x11 page, I believe, from Llewellyn. It doesn't fit in my book as a 8x11, so I decided to cut it up and rearrange it into a different format. Same thing here. This one I just happened to cut it down so that it would fit to the size of my pages. This one as well. And this one, as you can see, I couldn't quite do that to cut it down. I didn't want to lose the Celtic knotwork, so I've just put it to the side here. Cut it up and used it in a new way. And then I'll decorate and put some information right here in how I use some of these runes, or how I utilize those, or how do I study them. And again, your information can be different. It's just the format of the pages that was inspiring for you, if you'd like. And so, that is the first half of my scrapbook of shadows. So this section is more of the Wheel of the Year, with the Sabbats and such. And then I have another section of newer pages that I've been working on, so I will pull those out in just a moment. So, the Wheel of the Year with the Sabbats listed on there as the cover. And in here, along the way of my spiritual journey, I have kept magazines and calendars and gift cards and things like that I've received over the years, to be able to eventually put them into my Book of Shadows as little memories and stuff. Like this came from one of the calendars. And so that you can do as well. You can create a little 3-ring binder with some plastic sleeves where you just tuck all those little magazine clippings and clip art that you print out and all those other little things that you might be planning on putting in your Book of Shadows eventually. And you'll start amassing your own little collection of pagan inspired art and graphics and things like that. Because the one thing that I hear the most is that there isn't any pagan themed stickers and stamps and things. And that's couldn't be farther from the truth. Paganism is all about nature and connection and the universe and bringing balance. So any of these stickers and stamps and baubles and embellishments can be used to represent aspects of the pagan craft. So don't be afraid to rework it. Never be afraid to rework it. And again, you'll notice that I have left little spaces and stuff for journaling for the future, to come back for reflection on what Beltane means. It's always good to leave some spaces in your pages to come back to. Some things for It's summer. Here in Florida, it's hot, hot, hot. These are all the little informations that I've collected about the Sabbats that I want to use as important reflection points. Lavas or Lunasa. I just love this background with its corn husks in the background. Such a great theme for the first harvest. Lunasa or llamas. And here's Mabon. Just love these 3D embellishments. And these are, I fell in love with these because these are rub-on leaves, so they're semi-transparent. I just fell in love with that. Here's some pages for Samhain. Here's some pages for Yule. Some little places for me to come back in the future to reflect. And then some of my more basic pages, some of them that are in different stages of, oh, and these are my coffee dyed pages. So I use, I've experimented with several different kinds of liquids to dye the pages and give them a nice aged look. And these pages were dyed with instant coffee, a mixture of instant coffee and water. And I've tried different teas. They give, some of them give nice subtle hues. I've tried fresh brewed coffee, which always does a nice subtle job, but for me, I like this really deep aged color. So this one, the instant coffee, does really well for me. So that'll definitely be a future podcast. And while I'm going through my Book of Shadows, I just want to let you guys know that the only reason that I'm sharing my Book of Shadows is because over the years, I have popped into YouTube and watched so many of you share your amazing books of shadows. And every single time I sit down and I watch some new videos of new walkthroughs of your Book of Shadows, I'm inspired to jump right back into mine, and I want to revive it, and I want to get into it, and I'm so grateful to see all of the things that you guys have done with your Books of Shadows. Thank you so much for sharing your pieces of your spiritual journey with us, with me specifically, because it inspired me to get back in there and rekindle the love of the exploration of Wicca, of witchcraft, of paganism, of casting, of the spiritual journey. I just really have enjoyed watching your Book of Shadows journeys, and I wanted to share mine with you as well. And I can't wait to create a series where we can create some stuff alongside each other and really share, so to inspire some new witches to really get in that craft store and get your crafter going. Craft up your witchcraft. Make it happen. Yes. Let me show you my latest inspiration. So I was watching several of you and just seeing the level of artistic passion that you guys put into it. It's just so super inspired. Look at some of these pages that you inspired me to do. by digging into my archives after seeing some of the things you guys added into your Book of Shadows. A little two-part spread of the directions. This one I purchased. It's completely done. I just need to add a little bit of elements and stuff, so I thought that was fun. And that inspired me to create this page, which is kind of in the same tones. Oh, this is one of the pages that I really love. I was working with the energy of crows and ravens when I created this page to be able to have a reflection point. And then watching some of your crafty, super amazing videos, I made a pocket with some cards, and each of them is for the raven or the crow, and there's some area on the back for me to do some future journaling to reflect on the energy of the crow. How fun, right? All clip art that I found online and then just printed out. So you can do this too. And anything you want. And see, I added little envelopes so you can stash little bits of little potion recipes or something. Stain your pages, burn the edges, glue it down. Page. This is beautiful. Look at the background of this. It just screams water magic. So I just had to create a page. Spells and incantations. This is a fun page. It's a peekaboo page. I just love it. It's like a fairy garden. Yeah. Can't wait to decorate that one further. And these fun backgrounds. I just fell in love with this whole pack of paper that I got with its forest backgrounds and its bark backgrounds. Look at these. Oh, how much do you love those? Right? Oh, the beautiful papers that they have nowadays. Then you just take this and you boop, glue it right down into your book. Your book's getting too fat? Cut a few pages out. Make room. That's all. Another reason why you want to leave blank pages in the middle of your book. So you have room to be able to expand your horizons. Always. And again, I'm just sharing this because I was so inspired by all of you, and I just want you to see what all of you have inspired me to do with my Book of Shadows. And maybe I'll inspire one or two of you. And so on and so forth. And we'll just keep inspiring each other as we go. So that was my tour of my Book of Shadows. I hope that you enjoyed your time with me today. I really enjoyed having you. And until next time, blessed be.